2 years ago, I got a little bit of an itchy feeling up inside my nose that wouldn't go away. I was thinking, well, it's just something that's gonna fester out or whatever. Well, then my nose started swelling.
Jesse Todd walked into my clinic as a new patient. It was a Friday afternoon, I'll never forget it. I walked in and he had this white gauze taped over his nose, and he peeled off the dressing off of his nose, and I saw a deformed nose.
Apparently it's pretty obvious, what it was.
Jesse Todd was diagnosed with stage 3 squamous cell cancer, a cancer that begins in the outer layers of the skin.
He had had a growth that started on the inside of his nostril, had grown through his nose and was protruding out of his nose for several months now. And he was in tremendous amounts of pain, and he just finally couldn't stand it, and he came to Hope. But the question burning in my mind was, why did you wait so long, Jesse? Why didn't you come on sooner? Jesse did not have health insurance like so many of our patients.
When you finally got that word, it's just that cancer word, I had no hope. And then my uncle got to tell me, hey, there is hope, and the name of the place you need to go to is the Hope Center.
Hope is a vision. I think at the really heart of it, hope is just a group of people that believe that love is the most healing thing there is.
Hope Family Health opened its doors in 2005 in Westmoreland, Tennessee, about 45 miles outside Nashville.
I came to Westmoreland in the year 2000, and I was working for medical practice in the area, and it was heartbreaking to me that so often my patients couldn't afford care. I had a vision for a health center which, first of all, would treat everyone who needed care, even if they didn't have insurance or didn't have a lot of money. Just a different way of doing things, a way which put the patient first, a place where we understand that the spiritual and the emotional are just as important as the physical side of healing.
Hope got its start in a double-wide trailer off Highway 52 in Macon County.
It was a tiny trailer. It was old. The floors kind of rolled and creaked as you walked over them, but it was a great place to get started.
Can I help you?
From the beginning, Hope's policy was to charge patients on a sliding scale based on income, and if they couldn't pay anything, to treat them anyway.
I think that we have a mission, and it's not always about making money, and I think it's taking care of our fellow citizens that otherwise would not be taken care of.
They always pray with us. You get a good feeling, and it always feels like God's right there. It's a really good feeling.
The reason I come to Hope and the reason I work here every day is what we stand for. I've never worked anywhere else where I was encouraged to take the time to pray with my patients. I've never worked anywhere that will make sure they have groceries before they go home.
I really don't know what the community would do without Hope. I wouldn't be able to go to other doctors or anything. In the last couple of years, I've lost over 100 pounds. I feel a lot better, and I'm just thankful.
In 2008, Hope outgrew the trailer and moved into a new building. The mission and the ministry continued to expand.
I recognized early on that this organization is unique. In addition to providing health care for patients, there's something else here. It's family-like.
No, I hear it. You got a heart. It's just the strong, silent type.
That's it. First 17 years of my adult employment, I was a utility forester. That's a fancy name for tree trimmer who trims around telephone power lines. And the whole time I was in the sunshine, around electricity, close proximity to high electricity.
For anyone to not have insurance and to be dealt the hand of cancer That's just something that a lot of times just takes the wind out of your sails completely.
For the first, I don't know, probably 72 hours, kind of on the fence about whether, you know what I mean, it was worth fooling with or not. And then I got to thinking, now I got a wife, I still got 2 living kids. Gotta do what you gotta do.
The first thing we started to do was remedy his insurance situation.
I coached Cindy on how to apply for health insurance over the phone, and then she came in and we were able to adjust some things to get a better plan for him.
We were so blessed to get Jesse in with some surgeons at Vanderbilt. So at the first of the year, Jesse underwent surgery to remove the cancerous nose.
Surgeons successfully removed Jesse's nose and cancerous lymph nodes. The bills amounted to several $100,000.
The first surgery was like $129,000. There's no way I could have ever paid it.
A lot of people are cynical and just assume that people that don't have what they need don't work hard enough for it. That is not Jesse and his wife. They are 2 of the most hardworking people you'll ever meet.
I'm used to, I was raised, credit was a bad thing. And you owed, you know, I mean, it's something that's supposed to weigh on your conscience, and that's how I am. And if I was looking at $300,000 or $400,000 worth of bills, I don't believe mentally I could take it. Because that's not how I was raised.
When people come to Hope, most of them are very proud. Most of them don't want to be here. They don't want a handout, but they've reached the end of their rope, and that was Jesse and his wife, Cindy.
Jesse's surgeries and radiation treatment were successful. He and his wife, Cindy, now deliver newspapers for a living.
They saved me. Every which way you can put it, they saved me.
Jesse's probably one of my favorite faces that I ever see, and he's a different man than he was that walked in a year ago.
Good Lord sent me to a good place.
In 2008, Hope entered one of the most challenging times in its history, a period that would threaten its very existence.
It's always been a struggle at Hope to some degree. Our mission is to treat people regardless of how much money is coming in. So we keep on providing the care. Sometimes patients can't pay or they can't pay very much. So the money has always been a struggle.
As you can imagine, it's not always the best for the bottom line, but that's our mission, and we struggled through that for as long as we could.
In 2008, the economy it just fell apart. We hit a huge recession. Many people lost their jobs, and the need for our services increased, but a lot of people couldn't pay because they'd lost their jobs. When we opened, we had about 15% of our patients that did not have insurance. By 2010, that had risen to about 56%. We did everything we could, but still, by 2010, we were really in a bad place financially.
There were times that during those months that we even contemplated closing the clinic because we weren't sure how we could create enough cash flow to continue.
There's so many patients that we were treating that if we had gone under, I don't know honestly where they would go and what they would do.
In the summer of 2010, the board of directors held a meeting to decide whether to declare bankruptcy and close the center.
It was a really excruciating meeting. In the end, even though financially we probably should have bankrupted, we had a very high debt load and we were behind in almost all of our bills. But we just decided we could not leave these people. And we just decided that God had called us to do this and we were not going to leave.
The easy decision in looking back would have been to shut the door, but that wasn't the right decision.
As a last resort, Hope filed an application with the federal government to become a federally qualified health center. FQHCs were established in the 1960s as a way to fund health organizations that serve underserved areas.
That application was rejected the first year, but we kept the application in a submitted mode.
There were times where after everybody was gone, I would just kneel down in the lobby and just pray to God and just say, God, this is yours. I'll never forget that exact stretch of road that I was driving on, and I just saw an email pop up on my phone from HRSA. I pulled over, I pulled up the email, and it started out, congratulations, you've been granted an FQHC award. And so at that moment, I knew it was real.
We got it, and meaning that we had been accepted and were approved for our funding as a federally qualified health center.
What it really meant was that Hope was going to survive, that Hope was going to live.
With FQHC status, Hope began to grow like it never had. Before long, the center was again out of space. In November of 2014, Hope moved into a new 14,000 square foot building just down the road. Hope opened a second facility in 2015 and now serves patients in both Macon and Sumner counties. Its number of staff has more than quadrupled. A new behavioral health branch allows for psychiatric and mental health care, part of the vision from the very beginning. And the center now has a full on-site pharmacy, dental care, and a bilingual patient navigation program. Hope continues to provide quality, cutting-edge care for people of every background, ethnicity, and faith, regardless of their insurance status or ability to pay.
I still don't know why we had to go through that hard time, but what I know for sure is that God didn't leave us and God did care. And when I see where we've come now, almost like the promised land, you know, that He's brought us to, it's just all worth it.
Hope opened up a new behavioral health wing in their facility. We've been here now for 2 months, and in those 2 months, my daughter's life, as far as her schooling, has turned around phenomenally.
Hope is here to help people get their lives back on track, to help them repair their bodies in such a way that they are able to contribute again, that they are able to participate in community life, that they are able to work. And the redeeming quality of that is immense.
Hope is more than just a clinic with their patients. They treat them like family.
My experience is they help your mind, body, and soul.
Jesse Todd was recently fitted with a prosthetic nose. A local church choir raised money to help pay his insurance premiums while he was going through his cancer treatment.
The choir helped us out, raised money and helped us pay our insurance a couple of times. Seeing how, when those people believing that much and trusting that much in God made me want to feel the feeling. Coming up here, I was getting in a bad spot. And when I got to seeing the strength of God, I got to knowing that He sees all. He'll get it right.
Jesse's story is one that I think of probably almost daily. When he came in that day, I tried to leave the room, leaving him encouraged, letting him know I've got his back. What Jesse didn't see is that when I left the room, I cried a little because you think, I hold this person's life in my hands and I don't know what to do, I'm not enough. And Jesse's story is a powerful reminder of God's love and His grace is sufficient. That first day I prayed for Jesse, then I prayed for myself when I got out of the room for wisdom to do what was needed, and God's hand moved in ways I could have never foreseen.
It costed me a little flesh, but I still got soul and spirit, so eager to live a few more years anyway. I ain't no hurry to go nowhere yet. I still got little ones I'd like to see grow to be big ones.
I think we're just starting to open the door to a tide of people that are going to come in. There's just so many more needs to be met, and we want to meet them all.
There's a passage in Isaiah 35 that's one of my favorites. It talks about a path through the desert. The desert and the parched land will be glad. The wilderness will rejoice and blossom. Like the crocus, it will burst into bloom. Then will the eyes of the blind be opened, and the ears of the deaf unstopped. Then will the lame leap like a deer, and the mute tongue shout for joy.